Have you ever stopped to think that one of the world's most successful investors, and a book written over 2,000 years ago, might be saying exactly the same thing? Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, with his fortune of billions of dollars, and the book of Ecclesiastes, written by King Solomon, share surprisingly similar wisdom about money, time, and what really matters in life. Today we're going to dive into this fascinating connection that goes far beyond coincidence. We'll discover how millennial principles of biblical wisdom intertwine perfectly with the most effective investment strategies of our time. And more importantly, we'll understand what this means for your own financial decisions. Warren Buffett is famous for phrases like, "Price is what you pay, value is what you get," and "Our favorite food is hamburger, but our favorite holding period is forever." But when you read Ecclesiastes, you find something surprising. Solomon, considered the wisest and richest man of his time, writes about vanity, temporality, and about how true wealth is not where most people look for it. Let's start with the most powerful concept they both share: radical patience. Buffett has always said that the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. He buys companies thinking about holding them for decades, not for days or months. And what does Ecclesiastes teach us? In chapter 3, verse 1, we read, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." Solomon understood something fundamental. There is a time to plant and a time to harvest. And trying to rush this process is fighting against the very nature of things. Buffett tells a story about his first visit to the New York Stock Exchange when he was a child. He was fascinated, but soon realized that all that commotion, people shouting, frantically buying and selling, was exactly the opposite of what works. The secret is not in constant action, but in disciplined waiting. He often says that if you're not willing to hold a stock for 10 years, you shouldn't hold it for even 10 minutes. Now listen to what Solomon wrote in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 8. "Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit." This was written about 950 years before Christ, but it could be in any modern value investing manual. Patience is not just a moral virtue, it's a brutal competitive advantage in the investment world. But here it gets even more interesting. Both Buffett and Ecclesiastes warn us about the illusion of frantic activity. We live in a culture that glorifies being busy, doing something all the time. In the financial market, this translates into day trading, into checking quotes every minute, into constantly buying and selling, thinking each move is crucial. Buffett mocks this. He says his ideal strategy would be to have a punch card with only 20 holes for his entire life, representing 20 investment decisions. This would force you to think hard before acting. And Solomon? He wrote in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 2 and 3, "Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun?" Solomon is not saying work is useless. He's questioning work without purpose. Effort that leads nowhere, the rush that is just rush. Think about it. How many people do you know who are always doing something? Always busy, always moving, but when you really look, they're not getting anywhere. In the financial market, the data is clear. Studies show that investors who check their portfolios less frequently have better returns than those who look all the time. Why? Because they avoid emotional decisions based on short-term fluctuations. Now let's move to another powerful parallel, the question of greed and contentment. Warren Buffett lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He drives ordinary cars, eats at McDonald's, and his lifestyle is surprisingly simple for someone who is among the richest men on the planet. He didn't make a fortune to show off. He made a fortune because he loves the investment game and because he understands something deep about the nature of wealth. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 10 tells us, "He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase." This is revolutionary. Solomon is saying that greed is a bottomless pit. The more you have, the more you want, and you never reach a point of satisfaction. It's a race with no finish line. Buffett understood this in a practical way. He defined success not by how much money you accumulate, but by how many people truly love you. He famously said that the real test of success is how many people you want by your side when you're old. It's not about the zeros in your bank account. And here comes something crucial that both Ecclesiastes and Buffett teach: the difference between price and value. Buffett revolutionized the investment world by popularizing this distinction. Price is what's on the tag, value is what it's really worth. A stock can be expensive, even costing little, if the company doesn't have solid fundamentals. And it can be cheap, even costing a lot, if the company is exceptional and will grow for decades. Solomon talks about this in a different way, but equally profound. In Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 10 and 11, he describes how he built houses, planted vineyards, made gardens and orchards, accumulated silver and gold, and had everything his eyes desired. And then he looked at all of it and said, "Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun." What Solomon is saying is that he confused price with value. He paid with his time, his energy, his life, for things that in the end weren't worth what he thought they were worth. How many people do this today? They work 80 hours a week to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't even like, sacrificing relationships and health in the process. They're paying a very high price for something of questionable value. Buffett has a golden rule: never invest in something you don't understand. It seems obvious, but think about how many people lost everything in cryptocurrency schemes, financial pyramids, or trendy investments they didn't really comprehend. They were attracted by the promise of quick returns, by the greed to get rich overnight. Buffett avoided the dot-com bubble in the late 90s precisely because of this. Everyone thought he was outdated, that he didn't understand the new economy, but he simply didn't invest in what he didn't understand. And when the bubble burst, who was right? Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 12 says, "For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is, that wisdom giveth life to them that have it." Look how interesting. Solomon places wisdom and money as two forms of protection, but makes it clear that wisdom is superior because it gives life. Money without wisdom is dangerous. You can have resources, but if you don't know how to use them, they'll destroy you instead of protecting you. Let's now talk about another shared principle: the danger of debt and the importance of margin of safety. Buffett is famous for avoiding excessive leverage. He saw brilliant companies and intelligent people destroyed because they were too indebted when hard times came. He often says you only find out who's swimming naked when the tide goes out. In other words, when everything is going well, everyone looks smart. But when crisis comes, whoever was too indebted, whoever didn't have a margin of safety, is brutally exposed. Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Verse 5 warns us, "Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay." In the biblical context, this speaks about making promises to God, but the principle applies perfectly to debts. When you go into debt, you're making a promise to pay, and if you made promises you can't keep, you've put yourself in a trap. Proverbs, also written by Solomon, is even more direct. "The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." Think about the freedom Buffett has precisely because he never put himself in a position of desperation. He can wait. He can say no. He can see a crisis as opportunity instead of threat, because he has resources and doesn't have debts that force him to sell at the worst possible moment. During the 2008 crisis, while everyone was panicking and selling everything, Buffett was buying incredible companies at liquidation prices. He had the margin of safety that others didn't have. And here we arrive at what may be the most important lesson of all. Both Buffett and Ecclesiastes teach that there is something much bigger than money. Buffett says he doesn't measure success by dollars, but by love. He wants to be loved by the people he loves. He values his reputation above all else and says it. It takes a lifetime to build a reputation and 5 minutes to destroy it. Solomon, after experiencing everything wealth can buy, reaches a surprising conclusion. In Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 and 14, he closes the entire book saying, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil." After all his reflections on vanity, time, work, and wealth, Solomon concludes that what really matters transcends the material. Buffett, in his secular way, reached similar conclusions. He talks about integrity, about doing the right thing even when nobody's looking, about building something that lasts beyond your own life. He's donating the vast majority of his fortune to charity. Why? Because he understood that you don't take anything from here, but you can leave a legacy that matters. So what does all this mean for you? It means that smart investment principles are not new, are not complicated, and haven't changed in thousands of years. Patience beats speed. Wisdom beats frantic activity. Value beats price. Contentment beats greed. Margin of safety beats risky leverage. And purpose beats meaningless accumulation. The next time you're about to make a financial decision, ask yourself, am I being patient or impatient? Am I confusing price with value? Am I working for something truly worthwhile or just running on a hamster wheel? Do I understand what I'm doing, or am I following the crowd? Do I have a margin of safety, or am I putting myself at unnecessary risk? And here's your challenge. Choose one principle we discussed today, just one, and apply it this week. It could be being patient with an investment instead of checking it every day. It could be questioning a purchase by asking if it's really value or just price. It could be avoiding a debt you were considering. Start small, but start. Because in the end, both Buffett and Solomon would agree. It's not about having all the answers at once. It's about building wisdom one day at a time.